There comes a point in life when the noise gets too loud, when the world pulls you in every direction, demanding your attention, your energy, your identity. You start running faster, chasing more, giving everything you have to everyone but yourself. And then, one day, you look in the mirror and realize you don't recognize the person staring back. That's the moment when life forces you to pause, to ask the question most people spend their entire lives avoiding. When did I stop focusing on me? This isn't about selfishness. It's about survival. Because when you lose focus on yourself, you lose the very foundation that everything else stands on. You can't lead, love, or grow from a place of emptiness. The truth is, before you can build anything meaningful, success, purpose, peace, you have to build yourself. This is a call to realignment, a call to silence the noise, to reclaim your time, to rebuild your boundaries, and to remember that your energy is sacred. This is about learning to focus on yourself before you lose everything that truly matters: your peace, your purpose, and your power. We live in a world that celebrates noise. Every second, something or someone is demanding your attention, a notification, a message, a trend, a problem that isn't even yours. And somewhere in that constant chaos, you forget the most important person in your life. The danger of distraction isn't just about losing time, it's about losing yourself piece by piece. It's subtle, quiet, and slow, like a leak in your soul that you don't notice until you're empty. You wake up and reach for your phone before you even speak to your own thoughts. You scroll through other people's lives, comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reels. You start to measure your worth in likes, views, and reactions. Without realizing it, your energy starts to serve everything outside of you: other people's opinions, other people's goals, other people's timelines. The world has mastered the art of keeping you distracted, and you've become comfortable being busy instead of being focused. Distraction feels productive because it keeps you moving, but movement isn't the same as progress. You can be running full speed in the wrong direction and still convince yourself you're going somewhere. The real danger is that distraction gives you the illusion of purpose. You think you're building something, but you're really just reacting to everything. You think you're chasing goals, but you're really avoiding stillness, because stillness forces you to face the truth about where you are. The reason distraction is so dangerous is that it feels safe. It's easier to stay distracted than to sit with your insecurities. It's easier to keep working on everything except yourself. Because when you finally stop, when you finally look at your own reflection, you're forced to ask hard questions. Why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? Am I living by design or by default? Most people never ask these questions because they're too busy staying distracted. Distraction takes your energy in small doses, and over time it drains the life out of you. You stop creating from passion and start performing out of obligation. You stop enjoying your relationships and start maintaining them out of guilt. You stop dreaming because dreaming requires silence, and silence scares you. When you're distracted, you're never fully present anywhere. You're half at work, half on your phone, half with your family, half inside your thoughts. You start to live a half-life. And that's the greatest loss of all. Think about how much of your attention is fragmented across 1,000 meaningless things. Every click, every scroll, every thought you invest in things that don't build you is energy stolen from what could have been greatness. Distraction doesn't just waste your minutes. It weakens your focus. And once your focus is gone, so is your direction. You begin to live reactively, not intentionally. You let the world decide what deserves your attention, and soon, you're no longer living a life that's truly yours. The tragedy of distraction is that it doesn't feel like a tragedy while it's happening. You think you're managing everything, balancing it all, keeping up. But beneath that illusion, something inside you starts to fade. You lose curiosity. You lose discipline. You lose the ability to hear your own voice through the noise of everyone else's expectations. And one day you wake up and realize you've built a life that looks good from the outside but feels hollow on the inside. Focus is your most valuable currency, and yet it's the one we spend the most carelessly. Every moment you give to distraction is a moment you take from your own growth. The danger isn't that distraction kills your potential all at once. It's that it convinces you to give it away slowly. Every time you choose noise over clarity, comfort over challenge, reaction over reflection, you're handing over control of your own life. It's not that the world is too distracting, it's that we've forgotten how to protect our attention. We've forgotten that solitude is strength, that silence is where clarity is born, and that true focus isn't about ignoring everything. It's about remembering what matters most. Distraction doesn't need to scream to destroy you. It only needs you to stop paying attention to yourself. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize that doing more doesn't always mean becoming more. You can chase opportunities, build relationships, collect achievements, and still feel like something is missing. That missing piece isn't out there somewhere waiting to be found. It's within you, waiting to be aligned. The power of self-alignment isn't about control. It's about connection. It's the deep, quiet understanding that your actions, thoughts, and emotions are finally walking in the same direction. When you are misaligned, life feels heavier than it should. You wake up tired even when you've rested. You accomplish things, but they don't fulfill you. You say yes when you mean no, and you carry the weight of that small betrayal inside your chest. Misalignment is living in conflict with yourself. When your words speak one thing, but your spirit whispers another, it's that uncomfortable tension between who you are and who you pretend to be for the world. You can't feel peace when your daily life contradicts your deeper truth. Self-alignment begins when you stop chasing what looks good and start building what feels right. It's when you pause and ask yourself, does this reflect who I really am? It's about finding the courage to be honest with yourself, brutally honest, even when that honesty threatens the image you've worked so hard to maintain. Because real alignment doesn't come from perfection. It comes from authenticity. It's choosing integrity over approval. It's choosing inner truth over outer validation. When you are aligned with yourself, your energy moves differently. You stop forcing things. You stop begging people to understand you. You stop explaining your worth. Instead, you start flowing in your natural rhythm. Your focus becomes clearer, your voice stronger, your presence lighter. Alignment doesn't make life easier, it makes life real. You may lose people, opportunities, or comfort, but what you gain is clarity. And clarity is the foundation of peace. Most people think alignment means having everything figured out, but that's not true. Self-alignment is not a destination, it's a daily practice. It's checking in with yourself before you check your phone. It's asking what you need instead of what others expect. It's recognizing when you're acting out of fear instead of faith. Every decision, big or small, is a chance to either come closer to yourself or drift further away. The more you honor your truth, the more natural alignment becomes. The world will constantly pull you in directions that don't belong to you. It will tempt you with comfort, distract you with comparison, and pressure you to conform. But when you are aligned, those external forces lose their power. You stop measuring your success by how much noise you make and start measuring it by how at peace you feel. Alignment gives you the strength to say no without guilt, to walk away without anger, and to choose yourself without apology. When your inner world and outer world mirror each other, you no longer chase meaning, you create it. You start to notice how everything connects your habits, reflect your mindset shapes your choices shape your future, and it all begins with alignment. The clearer you are about who you are, the easier it becomes to recognize what belongs to you and what doesn't. You stop forcing yourself into places you've outgrown and start building spaces that fit your growth. There's a calmness that comes with alignment, not because life stops being chaotic, but because you stop being at war with yourself. You can move through uncertainty without losing direction. You can make mistakes without losing identity. Alignment doesn't eliminate the storms of life. It simply anchors you so the storm doesn't carry you away. The power of self-alignment is that it allows you to operate from purpose, not pressure. You no longer live to prove, you live to express. You don't compete, you create. You don't perform, you become. Every time you act in harmony with your truth, you strengthen the bond between who you are and what you do. And once you experience that connection, you realize that alignment is not just power, it's freedom. There comes a moment in life when you realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, your energy, your peace, these are not unlimited resources to be given freely to anyone who asks. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are gates designed to protect what's sacred within you. The truth is, people don't determine your worth. Your boundaries do. Because the way you allow others to treat you teaches them how valuable you believe yourself to be. When you have no boundaries, you live in a constant state of exhaustion. You say yes when you want to say no. You keep showing up for people who never show up for you. You stretch yourself thin trying to be everything to everyone, and in doing so, you lose the very essence of who you are. Without boundaries, kindness becomes weakness, love turns into obligation, and giving becomes a form of self-neglect. You start confusing sacrifice with strength and tolerance with peace. But there's nothing noble about allowing yourself to be drained by those who take without ever giving back. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They are a declaration that says, I value myself enough to protect my energy. It's not about shutting people out. It's about creating space for the right ones to come in. The ones who truly care for you will respect your limits. The ones who don't will get offended because boundaries expose intentions. When you start setting standards, those who benefited from your lack of them will call you difficult, selfish, or distant. But that's not your burden to carry. Their discomfort is proof that your boundaries are working. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection. They believe saying no will make them unkind or unlovable. But the truth is, every time you betray your own needs to please others, you chip away at your own worth. Boundaries don't push love away. They attract real love, the kind that honors your peace and respects your presence. You teach people how to love you by showing them how you love yourself. When you prioritize your well-being, you silently give permission for others to do the same. Boundaries are also about time, who gets it, who doesn't, and why. Time is the most valuable currency you have, and yet most people spend it on things and people that deplete them. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you're saying no to something meaningful. Every hour spent trying to fix others is an hour stolen from your own growth. Boundaries remind you that your time is not infinite, and your focus should be invested where it multiplies your peace, not where it drains it. Emotional boundaries are just as vital. You are not responsible for carrying the emotional weight of everyone around you. You can be compassionate without being consumed. You can listen without absorbing. You can care without rescuing. People's emotions are their own responsibility, just as yours are yours. When you constantly absorb the pain of others, you end up drowning in emotions that were never yours to begin with. Protecting your emotional space doesn't make you cold. It makes you strong enough to remain kind without losing yourself. When you finally start enforcing boundaries, you begin to see how many situations you tolerated out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged. But peace doesn't come from pleasing others, it comes from honoring yourself. You can't build a fulfilling life while constantly apologizing for protecting your own energy. You can't create genuine relationships when you're afraid to say what you really need. Boundaries may cause temporary discomfort, but the peace they bring lasts far longer than the approval you were chasing. Boundaries define your worth because they tell the world how much of yourself you're willing to compromise. The stronger your boundaries, the clearer your values become. They remind you that your energy is a privilege, not a right. You don't owe everyone access, explanation, or forgiveness. You owe yourself honesty, peace, and preservation. When you honor your boundaries, you stop negotiating your value. You stop proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop apologizing for demanding the same respect you freely give. Boundaries are not built out of bitterness. They are built out of wisdom. They are lessons learned through heartbreak, betrayal, and exhaustion. Each time you set one, you reclaim a piece of yourself that you once gave away too easily. And as you grow, your boundaries evolve too. The more you understand your worth, the less you tolerate anything that threatens it. Because the moment you decide that your peace is non-negotiable, you stop being available for anything that costs you yourself, respect. There's a quiet power in being alone, a kind of strength that only reveals itself when the noise fades and you're left with nothing but your own thoughts. Solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of yourself. It's where the mind settles, the heart speaks, and the soul begins to heal from the constant pull of the world. Growth requires solitude because transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in silence, in the unseen hours when no one is watching and no one is applauding. Most people fear being alone because silence exposes what distraction hides. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, by people, by social media, by endless movement, you don't have to face the questions you've been avoiding. Questions like, who am I without all this? Or what do I really want? Solitude forces you to confront the raw truth of your own being, and that can be uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the birthplace of clarity. You can't outgrow what you refuse to sit with. You can't heal what you constantly escape. In solitude, you start to see yourself clearly, stripped of expectations, roles, and labels. You're not someone's friend, partner, or employee. You're just you. And that's when you start to realize how much of your identity has been shaped by the world's noise. Solitude gives you the space to separate your true desires from those that were handed to you. You begin to understand what drives you, what drains you, and what deserves to stay in your life. That kind of awareness is impossible when you're constantly surrounded by distractions and noise. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort of company. It happens in the quiet of reflection. Every person who has truly evolved, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, has walked through a season of solitude. It's where you question everything and start rebuilding from truth instead of habit. You learn that peace isn't found in others, it's created within. You realize that validation loses its power when you start trusting your own voice. And you begin to see that solitude isn't a punishment, it's preparation. In solitude, you discover how to listen, not to the world, but to yourself. The stillness becomes a teacher. It teaches patience when progress feels slow. It teaches strength when comfort fades. It teaches you that not every connection deserves your energy, and not every opportunity deserves your attention. Solitude sharpens your intuition because it removes the noise that clouds your judgment. The more time you spend in silence, the more you begin to trust the quiet whispers inside you that say, this is right for me, or this isn't who I am anymore. Growth requires solitude because real transformation is personal. No one can evolve for you. No one can heal for you. The journey inward is yours alone. People can inspire you, guide you, or support you, but they can't do the inner work that growth demands. You have to face your fears without a crowd to distract you. You have to confront your doubts without someone else's reassurance. And in that process, you learn something sacred, that you are enough on your own. Solitude also rebuilds your relationship with time. When you are constantly surrounded by people or activity, time blurs, days slip away without depth. But when you are alone, every moment stretches. It becomes deliberate. You start to notice small things again, your breath, the sound of wind, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. You become grounded in the present moment, and that grounding reconnects you to what's real. Growth happens there, in awareness, in patience, in stillness. Most people rush to fill silence because they mistake it for emptiness. But silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. The world may convince you that progress means constant motion, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop, breathe, and listen. Solitude teaches you that rest is not weakness, reflection is not idleness. You learn that slowing down doesn't mean giving up, it means recalibrating your direction. The deeper you go into solitude, the more you realize that growth isn't about adding more to your life. It's about removing what doesn't belong. It's peeling back layers of noise, expectation, and ego until only truth remains. And from that truth, new life begins to grow. Solitude doesn't make you separate from the world. It makes you strong enough to return to it with purpose. It's where your roots deepen before your branches reach higher. Because before you can expand outward, you must first grow inward. And that growth always begins in silence. There comes a time when you look at your life and realize how much of it you've been living on autopilot. You didn't plan to drift, but somewhere between responsibilities, distractions, and other people's expectations, you stopped steering your own ship. Every small compromise, every ignored intuition, every time you said, it's fine, when it wasn't, those moments quietly took pieces of your control. And before you knew it, your life started to feel less like a choice and more like a chain of reactions. Reclaiming control isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about remembering that your direction is still yours to command. But if you wait too long, the weight of inaction becomes its own cage. Losing control doesn't happen in dramatic moments. It happens slowly in the small decisions you avoid making. You give a little of your time away, then your energy, then your boundaries, until suddenly you're living a version of life that doesn't even feel like yours. You wake up tired not just because you've been working hard, but because you've been living disconnected from what truly matters to you. You become reactive instead of intentional, constantly trying to keep up with demands that were never aligned with your own purpose. The danger is that the longer you stay disconnected, the more normal it starts to feel. You convince yourself that this is just how life is supposed to be, busy, draining, unfulfilling. And you stop asking if it could be different. Reclaiming control starts with awareness. You can't change what you refuse to see. It's about pausing long enough to ask, how did I get here? And being honest with the answer. It means taking responsibility for your choices, even the ones that hurt. Because until you own your part in the chaos, you'll keep blaming circumstances that were only ever reflections of your own passivity. Taking control again doesn't mean rewriting your past. It means refusing to let it dictate your future. You can't go back and undo the years you spent drifting, but you can decide right now that the drift stops here. Control isn't about dominating everything around you. It's about mastering what's within you. You can't control people, outcomes, or time. But you can control your focus, your habits, and your reactions. That's where your real power lies. It's not in trying to make the world bend to your will. It's in learning to navigate it with clarity and discipline. When you reclaim control, you stop being a passenger in your own story. You stop waiting for permission to live fully. You stop letting fear disguise itself as practicality. You stop settling for routines that keep you comfortable but uninspired. The hardest part about reclaiming control is that it often requires letting go. You have to release the comfort of blame, the illusion of control over others, and the attachments that keep you anchored to who you used to be. Growth demands space, and space only comes when you clear away what no longer serves you. That might mean walking away from relationships that drain you, jobs that confine you, or habits that numb you. It's uncomfortable because taking control also means taking accountability. You can't hide behind excuses anymore. You have to face the parts of yourself that contributed to your own stagnation. But that confrontation, as painful as it is what sets you free. Time doesn't pause while you figure things out. The more you postpone taking ownership of your life, the deeper the roots of regret grow. Every day you delay reclaiming control. You reinforce the belief that you don't deserve it. But the truth is, no one is coming to fix your life for you. You are the only one who can decide that enough is enough. That the cycle of overthinking, overcommitting, and overlooking yourself ends now. Taking control is not about rushing forward. It's about slowing down long enough to move with intention. You start to reclaim control in small ways. You wake up a little earlier to be with your own thoughts before the world intrudes. You stop saying yes out of guilt and start saying yes out of choice. You learn to prioritize progress over perfection, presence over performance. Each small act of ownership rebuilds your confidence. It reminds you that you're capable of steering your own life again. And as you reclaim that power, you begin to feel something you may not have felt in a long time: peace. Not the fragile kind that depends on everything going right, but the steady kind that comes from knowing you are back in alignment with your own path. Reclaiming control before it's too late is about realizing that your life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Time keeps moving whether you choose to participate or not. Every moment you spend drifting further from yourself is a moment you'll never get back. Control isn't something you find outside of you. It's something you choose to take back, one decision at a time. Because the truth is, life doesn't take everything from you all at once. It takes what you don't protect. At some point, you have to stop waiting for the right time and start becoming the right person. Life won't slow down for you to catch your breath. The world won't hand you peace, purpose, or clarity. You have to create them. You have to choose to step away from the noise long enough to hear your own voice again. Because the truth is, everything you're searching for starts within you. Focus on yourself, not because the world revolves around you, but because your world collapses without you. The stronger you are within, the stronger everything around you becomes. When you protect your focus, when you honor your boundaries, when you choose solitude over distraction and alignment over approval, you stop surviving and start living. This is your reminder that it's never too late to take back control, but it's always too dangerous to keep waiting. Your life is happening right now, not tomorrow, not someday. Reclaim your energy, redefine your direction, refocus your heart. Because when you finally choose yourself, you don't just change your life, you change everything that your life touches.